Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' 2 the Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, myopic proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, chief stamp licker for Critical Blast Logistics, and I answer the phone for Critical Blast Consulting. And it's enough to make me pull my hair out. But, you know, it's a good job. I love doing all of this stuff. Tonight, Trolls Exposed. This sounds like a drama stream because God knows that crowdfunding comics, no matter what sect or cult you belong to, you're exposing trolls all the time. You're being hit by trolls. You're lucky to get any comic work done because of all the drama there is about you're shipping your comic or you're not shipping your comic, is usually the case, or what you're making your comic about. Tonight, Trolls Exposed is a totally different thing. It's actually the title of a book. So we're going to dig into that, and to help us understand what these trolls are and why they deserve to be exposed, we have with us Chris and Diana Temulovic from Hero Shack. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hopefully I'm good. I just messed with my mic. I hope it's all right.
I can hear you, so I would assume that everything's okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so otherwise I'm great.
So what have you guys been up to? I mean, you've been doing the Cyclopean, you've been doing
so we have Cluster
I almost said Cluster something else. And
yeah,
like,
we have
Cluster
Fudge still on the back burner. We're going to conclude that this year too. But we got tied up in doing Trolls Exposed, which started off as a single story. And as I think I heard you mention the maybe Sunday night when we were talking, It actually spans from the flood all the way up to modern day. And how we got there from one story just is a testament to my wife and I going a little nuts in our research and me getting really inspired. Because trolls, amazingly, if you take it to the furthest extent of the imagination, they're quite a hassle to the humans, like historically, like of all time. If you want to play with it the way that I did, which I took it right from the origins of man, and in the flood, most of the great ones from the fallen angels, the children of the fallen angels, were killed. But the trolls existed very subterraneously, like way underground, like below the ocean surface. So for them, the flood was kind of inconsequential. And just like the Bible said, he wiped out all life from the face of the earth, but not in the water and not under the earth. So
if you were,
they creep back up and we have to deal with it.
I want to just add, because I think nowadays when you hear the title Trolls Exposed, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction, like, wait a second, here we go with the drama. And it's really not that at all. It's actually a story that we actually researched. Chris and I researched trolls way back, in Sweden and Norway and all of the history.
I thought she was going to name a date, like way back in January.
No. But what I'm saying is like when I've told people, oh, trolls, like an internet trolls. Well, yes, there is a story in there regarding internet trolls, but not all the stories are about an internet troll. Some of them are about forest trolls and cave trolls and different types of trolls. So I just wanted to put that out there.
But it's interesting. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, whenever I think of trolls in stories, I only have one example that I could ever remember, and that was, the three billy goats gruff, and the troll under the bridge.
Well, pop culture has made them it actually straight from Sweden, I believe. They've given us the little trolls with the gems in their chest and the fluffy hair, and Disney did some trolls.
And you do this, and it just goes like mine.
Yeah. And I think Disney did stone trolls in Frozen. I haven't really seen the movie, but my wife has watched it many times in the living room.
Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
But then when you start digging, there's a nasty troll out there, like in Troll Hunters, which I believe is a Netflix movie. It's subtitled, but the trolls are pretty graphic in it. And in my head, I've always had like a weird kind of merging of trolls and orcs, kind of like being one kind of. But Rick kind of illustrates that they're different, so it's really cool. Rick, by the way, is one of the other creators in the book. But
story and art in there.
When I expand out what a troll was, and I started playing with all the things that the Norse mythologies in particular really assign to them, they can be almost anything with their powers. They're magical, they're crafty, but they're stupid. Like there's a mix of so many elements that we were able to play with, and it started off as like, I'm going to do this story because it didn't make it into another book.
Right.
But I was also like,
we all know there's another troll book out there, and this was a story that didn't fit the theme.
Right.
You still liked it.
Yeah.
So it
was still a really
how I took a 10-page story into a over 100 pages of an anthology. We'll have to review another time. Yeah, it's over 100 now.
It's over 100. And I just spoke to my artist, and it's definitely gonna be over 100, because she's like, I can't.
Well, she's gonna surpass her 10-page limit.
Yeah. She's like, there's no way. Well, my short story, okay, is 15 pages. Well, 10 to 15, because I deleted a lot. But the comic version, I got it down to like 10 comic book pages, which is so much missing.
No, she didn't. No, in actuality, we heard from Krista, because it caused a lot of stress for Krista, because Krista got 11 pages and she was like,
yeah,
oh my God, I can only do 10. I've been commissioned for 10. What do I do?
I said, it's okay. I'll give you the extra money to do the whole thing. But at any rate, I do want to say that this Trolls Exposed, there is no Disney character. There is no cute little trolls with rainbow colored hair. This is definitely a mature book that has lots of gruesome things in it.
However, there is a lot of humor within the
Yes.
gruesome. If you like dark humor, particularly, the story "Temp Job Nightmares" is literally like when I read it, I giggle the whole way through.
Right.
And all the way to the belly laugh as the conclusion comes. But that one doesn't get graphically dark like the other stories, but yeah, it's got a dark tone to it as well.
So with all the research that you put into it, and basically your team is writing all these stories together. I mean, there's you, there's Diana, you have a couple of other writers.
Well, so tonight we have kind of interwoven one to work with Diana accomplishing her thing, and I don't know how to credit him yet. He's definitely an editor, a consulting editor.
Yeah.
And at this point,
I think
with the innovation he brought to the layout, you almost want to call him a co-writer. So by the time everything is done, I'm sure he's going to have a credit.
Excited.
Right. I was like ecstatic because this is like, okay, now I can relax because the two rookies have somebody who really knows comics. It's going to get done. Like he was like, when's my deadline? They were like, when's my deadline? What do I have to do? Boom. I know it's going to get done.
But with, the group being that tight and, you having the control over all the stories, can people expect a thematic consistency between all the stories since they are all sort of done and directed by the same team?
Yes and no. Okay. So we gave Rick, we gave Krista, and actually every artist we brought in complete freedom. So
right.
Theatrically, what you're going to get is like some vibrant storytelling from different perspectives. For instance, we commissioned Chris Mad for the cover. And up till that point, I had been thinking of trolls no taller than 12 feet. Chris draws them about 30 feet tall because I said, draw what trolls are to you. And I was suddenly blown away because like this opened a whole world to me.
So
and
what
then,
did
of course, I really took the stone formations in Scotland more seriously because they have these huge stone formations that the locals will say, that's a troll there. And you're like, no, that's stone. But when you look at it and kind of blur your eyes,
think of trolls.
You can kind of see how that might be
the
frozen troll.
lenses. It's like,
yeah,
you want to be quiet because they don't wake the trolls.
Right. Yeah. So it like totally blew my mind. And in a way, that's how the discovery has gone in this. Because,
however,
go ahead.
To what RJ was saying, there is a common strand, if you will, through
yes,
stories, because Chris is incorporating our stories into his stories. So even though as writers we could do our own thing, you never said it has to be this, it has to be that. You said just give me a story about trolls. You said that to Rick. Give me a story about trolls, and we did our own thing. But you, as sort of like the overarching creator.
So the overarching story I should probably describe really quick if we have time.
We have an hour. I would.
All right, here we go then. So there is a
beer.
All right. There is a private organization which a gentleman who uses the name Victor Violence is kind of opposing trolls, but they have a lot of trouble because the world is actually in cahoots with trolls. Governments, local municipalities, on a global level, all the way down to small towns, have made contracts with trolls all over the place. So when this private organization wants to expose them, they get censored, they get shut off from Twitter, Facebook, what have you, the social media of this universe. And so Victor's out there doing the work of this private organization, which is not unlimited. It's not like joining the Avengers or JLA. They don't just have like satellite stations that he hangs out in. He's driving around the country trying to make right against the trolls. And at the same time work with like the government working against him, when we follow his story, he's giving a presentation to would-be recruits. And there's a lot of comedic sequences where he kind of plays like a crypt keeper. He's presenting stories to the possible recruits and explaining why these are important for them to understand and, maybe get involved. And in the course of the story, we meet other agents. We have an interview with a troll at the end of the entire book. that is part of the conclusion of the interwoven story that's going in between Diana's story, Rick's story, and my stories. So yeah, and there is a Hall of Fame if I didn't say that, so I'm going to just throw that in there.
A Troll Hall of Fame. Okay.
Yes.
Is this something where I know it's not an ongoing because it's an anthology.
That's right.
And you have floppies that you have to get out. But is this something where it's going to be open-ended enough that like next year there could be the another anthology like once a year, like an annual?
There really could, and in a way, if you follow what we've done, we were doing Hero Shack, which was all superheroes. Then we consolidated down to Cyclopean, the Great Cyclopean. Meanwhile, I was doing Last of the Reapers as a one-shot. I did Clusterfudge, which was supposed to be a one-shot, and we broke it up, and now I still owe a final edition to finalize that story.
Yep.
But I am all for doing a once-a-year anthology while building my superhero catalog, because I still love making superhero comics. But quite frankly, it's great to make other styles, other genres. In the book, there are appearances by Cyclopean, Crime Buster from Cross Comics, Melvin from Velvet Comics, Mr. Yanafui, Soy Rage. So these characters,
I want this book already.
These characters appear in Hostess Cupcake parodies.
Yes.
So in
very
the book,
funny stuff. Very funny.
in the book, there's a cupcake company called Happy Troll Cakes, and that actually incorporates indirectly into the Victor Violence story. And the Happy Troll Cakes are used in the comics to subdue trolls throughout the world, and our heroes appear for one page doing a great deed for humanity by calming the great troll that wants to damage whatever. And that's a very Reader's Digest version. But if you've seen Hostess Cupcakes, the story basically goes, Batman, we have a robbery in progress. We have to go, Batman. They're stealing all the cupcakes. Hostess Cupcakes are the best. The end,
It's very funny. Very funny stuff. I am biased, so.
Well, it's at the very least, it's going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Now,
so there you are looking at it. I think we're at what, 61 or 68%.
68%.
Yep. Which we're very grateful for, guys. We set a flexible goal for 500, which essentially means no matter what we get, we're going to be able to fulfill whatever people order. And that's why we set it for flexible, because frankly,
we just want the book in people's hands.
Right. We do want to make money to pay off what we've spent.
Yeah.
But the main point of this was never to, make a lot of money, is to get the book into people's hands.
Right.
And
we're building our readership, RJ. We're building our readership. We're throwing out the fishing line and seeing who we can grab, who we can because we've done, like Chris said, the superheroes, we've done the Clusterfudge, and we've done a variety. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, last
building my shack brick by brick.
Yeah. And learning every step of the way. It's been awesome, but now we're doing an anthology with our first commissioned artists, and it's it's an exciting process. I've never done this before. It's always been a one-man show. And for me, it's almost tear-worthy to say that I'm sharing the reins and enjoying it.
And he's doing well with it.
The next one will go so much smoother because of it. I mean, anthologies I'm familiar with. We did an anthology a year and a half ago, The Devil You Know, which was a prose anthology with 20 authors. And the crap I went through post editing. I'm like, this is wait a second. I've got 20 great stories here, but there has to be a book, which is a totally different animal that I'm in charge of, not some publisher I've submitted to,
right?
I've done in the past. So you do the layout, you make sure all the headers and footers are all correct. Yep. I sent, first time I had it printed up, I told them it was 5x8, and I sent them a 6x9. And by golly, you know what? Words don't wrap when you go print like that. They just go right off the edge and top of the page. So it was this was worthless. Threw that book out. Said, no, really, it's really 5x8. Here's the 5x8 version of it. That one fit, and it fit the first story, the second story, the third story. Remember, there's 20 of them now. the 15th story, the 16th story. Wait, why does the 16th story still say that it's the 15th story? Why does the 17th story still say that it's the 15th story?
It's crazy.
Section breaks did not carry through.
It's funny you mention that, because one of the reasons I'm keeping the cupcake ads, because I consider dropping them for silliness. But when you're doing all these stories and there are 2-page spreads, those come in very handy, because sometimes you need it to bump that extra page over to get the 2 pages together. And I've learned this through doing comics. We've done like 20 issues of various books now. If you need it, it's great to have a spacer page. You throw that in there, boom, it bumps it. You're all set.
Absolutely.
Pagination is important.
Chris. I don't touch the layouts. I don't touch any of that stuff at all. I just like, here it is. Do your stuff. Like, I have no idea. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah, and she doesn't know the layouts, but she knows the editing.
Yeah, I mean, I was my focus on the book was like one of the things I said, every story has to begin on an odd numbered page. I want it facing them. I don't want it turning over here, on that even page, on that back page. So, every time I change something, I had to go check the pagination, make sure nothing got pushed.
Yeah.
But in comics, it's like I've seen this happen with the prose even. Misprints where it's like, here's a 2-page spread that's on page 3 and 4.
Oops.
Yes.
That doesn't work.
That's not good. No.
The good thing for us was, because I had 15 years of graphic arts, I was wise to the pages, but that's where I also figured I got to have spacer ads at times, or pinups or whatever it takes.
Well, and like I said, the next one will be faster. We're doing the second anthology right now, and I was like, okay, end of reading period in March. We should be done, if I have to do all that again, by July 1st. And I even put on the frontis page as a space holder, copyright July 2022. I'm like, at this point, I'm ready to go. It's been spell checked and proofed and everything. I'm like, it's April. This went by fast because I knew all the mistakes that I'd learned from.
That's good, though.
And you'll be the same.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. We are talking about a huge anthology here, over 100 pages, that I'm going to show it right now. You want this book, $25 for the physical copy, 100-page plus of stories about trolls throughout history. You guys have done the research into the mythology of them. And so each story is going to be, even though different writers have said, you told them, hey, do what trolls mean to you. You told them what a troll was.
Right.
Well, actually,
no.
When they told us what a troll was, it formed into what the trolls could be, if that makes sense. So, for example, with Rick's story, I really had no idea what he was going to bring. And then when he brought it, it just fit. And I just had to decide how it was going to be presented in the presentation, because literally trolls are like way more powerful than people would think. If they really got their act together, they would run the earth. But they're always liable to leave themselves huge gaps for defeat, which of course is great for the humans and fits with all the, the legends and the stories and the lore. Because if let's face it, if trolls could just eat everybody, well, we'd be talking about how those humans used to be pesky and they only exist in mountains now.
We wouldn't be talking at all.
Yeah, we'd be on the other side of that story,
And looking at the campaign, you'll see different stories listed. Those are the stories that are within the anthology.
Yeah. Now, they lived underground. Are they the lizard people that we hear about, or are those?
They may be related to Sleestakians. I'm not sure, because their lore is so great. I suppose it's possible.
So these are, here we're looking at the not necessarily, I guess, the interior art, but the title.
Actually, what you're looking at there is an actual panel. But what I want to do before Wednesday night is I'll throw in like probably a page for each story, so I'm not giving away each story.
Right.
But that story there in particular is being drawn.
Tina and the Three Trolls.
Right, is being drawn almost in an anime style.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 10 tons of fun. Like it's a blast.
It is a really funny story. Really good story.
Well, to give you the short and long of it, think Goldilocks and the Three Bears. But this is Tina and the Three Trolls.
Set in Sweden.
Yes. Well, it's set at the Matterhorn.
And
the conclusion is nothing like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but the the story arc goes into a very similar point where she's in their cave, basically exploring, going, "Where am I? What is this?"
Yeah. Okay,
And her escape from that leads to a highly comical encounter on a troll bridge, which of course feeds into the troll lore. The amazing thing about these trolls is they are not particularly sensitive to light, where traditionally trolls are. And there's
underground, so they're squinty.
Yeah.
right, but there's an explanation for it, which will be uncovered. But the point is, the trolls have different variances of sensitivity to light. And some of them it's quite extreme, and others science has helped. So
Right.
like there's different things, like you put on a good sunscreen, you're already, maybe not as sensitive as others. You might be okay in the light.
Right.
All right, so we got a Goldilocks sort of story here. Yeah, and the thing I love about anthology is that you can have a theme and still have so much variety.
Yes.
So we go from fairy tale ish to Western with the hunt.
Yeah.
Actually, that's deceptive in the sense that it happens in the 17th century in Europe. And these are actually, that's an American mercenary hunting trolls in Europe. And the hunt is about how they were basically hired to come in and take out trolls that were in the region. But what happened was there was an earthquake and it shattered an underground cavern, which allowed trolls to travel in between locales. So
it destroyed it, basically.
What basically happened was the queen, her son, and a small royal guard were trying to cut through this territory. And they picked up on the trail and they hunt them down. And the consequences of what happens actually leads to Madma, who is King Madma in our day and age, because trolls are extremely long-lived, and his vengeance on humans because of what happened that night.
So you're saying that we're going to have a recurring troll?
Yes, there is a recurring troll, and that ties into the Victor violent story in the end.
Very nice. I hate those underground earthquakes. That's how we lost Marshall, Will, and Holly.
Right? Exactly.
They never came back.
In the land. I'm not going to sing the whole thing because I don't want to get copyright strike.
In the land of... Sir, is it a stand-up fight or another troll hunt? I have no idea. There's a quote around that.
He's a great writer.
The troll hunt, you see the rifles there. I had a lot of fun because those are long rifles. Mm-hmm. And I had to date it so it was just as they were coming out. So these are like elite mercenaries of the 17th century. Like the fact that they have these is kind of cool in itself. But the limitations of the weapons are fun too, because during the hunt, they come to a point where they have to reload, and those are not quick reloads.
no, they were not. It's like, pour, tamp.
Yeah. Now, Mind Hack there, that's actually the story that started it all. And
so this was the comic book writer story.
This was, yes. Okay. And it was really funny because my kids, who are, for lack of a better term, quite woke, were very nervous about this story. But it's past the woke thing, because what we have there is the guy in the black robe is a troll who basically uses its mind hacking software. So the premise is, if you have the right PC with a proper monitor and a high enough spec, a troll is able to inject your mind with a program and therefore put you into a hypnotic trance and make you see visions very similar to A Christmas Story. Remember how in that movie or story, three ghosts came and took the guy out to the different time periods in his life? Mm-hmm. This troll walks him through
A Christmas Carol, not A Christmas Story.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carol. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the way Ralphie laid the ad in his mom's magazine. Yeah, he's incepting her, but you're talking about the other way.
Sorry, got off track there. But basically, he walks him through a childhood episode, a point where the character Captain Stud is released in toy format, and a point after he's had a stroke. Now, the hook of the story is he had taken Captain Stud, who is basically Superman, Captain America, all that was American rolled into one, and they turned him into a transsexual superhero. I picked that because I thought it was very culturally modern and pertinent
It's
and
relevant.
contemporary.
It's relevant, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't dwell into the transgender
Not at all.
issues at all.
So
What
don't
it
freak out,
becomes is
everybody.
well, what
not
it becomes
what
is
you
a
think.
story about a writer who also doesn't know crap about transgenderism and is only doing it for the money.
Right.
And the troll is trying to get him to
Exploitation.
change his mind, and of course he doesn't. And there is a classic EC Comics kind of ending, if that qualifies, without giving it away.
Yes.
One that
Those
gives
twists.
the writer his just due.
And I love those EC anthologies and the DC Comics horror anthologies. Those little short stories.
Well, Mind Hack, actually, that program turns out to be what Victor Violence is trying to track down. And in the process of doing this, we run into another story within the book, but we're not there yet. The Ogre and Trolls one there, that's Rick's story, Battle for the Bridge.
Okay.
And I can't say enough about what I've seen. The artwork. I need to get new stuff because what's up there now doesn't do what he's done justice. And I'll probably hit him up before Wednesday if he's still watching. Hint. But he showed some colored stuff the other day that was just wow. So
Very
I
cool.
want to update it. But that story is going to explain a little bit more about trolls and their history because bridges are huge in their history.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They like living under them for whatever reason.
Well, Tempwork Nightmares actually features a story where basically a troll has put out an employment request with a temp agency. And with full knowledge of what he was doing, the temp agency guy sends out this little geek, Mr. Mr. Cobb. It's not plural. I keep doing that, and it's not plural. But he sends Mr. Cobb out to interview for the job.
This is a really good story.
This is the one that Diana loves the most. But basically, he finds out that the troll is running the Lorenzo Valley Bridge and has been for generations under contract with the local town authorities. And his job will be to tend to the troll's needs. And that's where the hilarity starts.
Because what do trolls need? Well,
there's a lot of interesting things that happen.
Remember, it's coming from Chris.
And to make it, to kind of explain it, Mr. Cobb is also Agent Cobb. So this is a story explaining how Agent Cobb becomes aware of the organization and becomes part of the organization, which was not what his intention was when he took the job. Angry Video Chat Troll,
which is one we're all familiar with.
Yeah, well, she's basically a female troll who incorporates magic, using blood as the source of her power. She has been mistaken as a vampire before, which is kind of one of the things that is played off in the book. Like vampires are really just good-looking trolls. They love eating. They love eating people. They love human blood. So I
would have pegged her as a succubus just because of the pose and the looks and everything.
Well, yeah. Well, she's very hot, but there's a reason. Like you'll see her transformation. When we pick up the story, she's withered and having issues with her physical form.
Yeah. Keeping
a very sexy look. She takes care of it by getting a drink of human.
It's a very mature theme.
This one is probably one of the gorier ones, but not graphically, just in what it implies. It's more like almost like an Alfred Hitchcock feel. Yeah. You don't actually see the violence, but you know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And the dialogue afterwards describes a lot of the context quite vividly. But in the long run, she's in the story because the way what happens is she gets a guy to her apartment, and that's what happens. She drains him basically.
Okay. So
wait, let me finish. And the way she got him there was the Mind Hack software, which he's tracking, which is how he runs into her. Okay, go ahead, Diana.
So this story, when I first read it, because as you guys know, I read all of his stuff. I just looked at him and said, seriously, you're going to go there? He goes, yeah, but think troll. That's a huge troll. Like it is, and it is.
Well, in modern day times, we also have the the OnlyFans, the simps who chase them, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
To me, one of the metaphors for an online woman like that might be a troll. So putting a troll in that position didn't seem so weird. It kind of felt,
It's like,
it felt like it was natural.
Yeah, that would explain so much. That's not talking communication. Like oh, we're throwing magic out over the internet. How do you do that with words? Oh, you don't do it with words. You got to lick the microphone.
Well, they do the whole genre of I don't know, service online lends itself to a lot of the troll things that I think about when I read about trolls. Like it's the perfect deception, and somehow they can get guys to drain like tens of thousands of dollars on them, and I'm like,
because they do collect treasure.
Yep.
I'm like, guys, go out, get a real. This is a computer screen. Walk away from it.
But anyways, when I read this story, I'm like, you're going there. He goes, yeah, of course I am. Okay. But it really, it's a good story. It's
It has a conclusion and it feeds to the main plot of the story.
Yeah.
It becomes very necessary because what he finds is he has to track down one server that's highly encrypted, highly masked, and he's following the rabbit trail, and she's part of the rabbit trail.
There you go.
Yeah.
What happens to a normal human person who willingly drinks troll bathwater?
Yeah.
Find out.
Right.
Actually, we could explore that because I still have like 40 days. I could draw another story if I have to.
No more stories, you.
Now, Genome, I've been talking a lot. Diana,
I love
you
that
happen
time.
to be the writer of Genome.
Genome is my story. It was originated as a short story. It's about sort of a genetic mutation that happens in this family's history because the grandmother ends up being seduced by a forest troll, and they have relations. So the story unfolds where this family realizes that, oh my gosh, we have like trolls, and my mother could have a baby that is half troll. So I don't want to give away too much of it, but it winds down to the current day, the modern day story is the mother who the father is lost. The father is never mentioned, but she has a daughter. And through the bloodline, the daughter has some troll characteristics. They're very minimal, and you don't really notice them unless you know, if you're in the know. The story continues that the young daughter wants to go on a camping trip with a family friend, her friend, and the place that they're going to is known to be inhabited by forest trolls. Now, the one thing that you have to understand about trolls is they use magic, of course, so that they can still be around us, but because of the magic, they can put sort of like a veil so we never see them. Humans can't see them. So this young girl, because she has some troll blood, she's half troll, begins to see things in this camping trip. She hasn't, and another thing, because it's genetic, as the person grows, the troll becomes stronger and stronger and eventually takes over. So that's why we put Genome for troll blood, because I don't want to give too. I want the story to be super surprising, so I don't want to give too. But it's about a young
basically
girl
in the presentation that Victor's giving, this is the example of how it can run in a family bloodline and pop up genetically unexpected. Much like how you might have one redhead in the family, it'll skip 2 generations, and then one of their grandkids has redhead.
Right.
And it's just because it's a genetic skip. It's not such a predominant thing that every person in the family has.
And from historical standpoint, there were trolls, that sort of would snatch young, beautiful women to have relations with. So this is from a historical, my research. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is what I'm going to do. So it wasn't like, oh, I just dreamed it up. No, if you look at the history of trolls, there are trolls, and God forgive me, I can't think of the name of them right now, but that was one.
Well, they all have like these weird, like they all have names which are very difficult for us to pronounce.
Yeah.
So we could show you the cards where we have them written, but it's like sklets.
Right. So
Unless it's like Thor. Thor is an easy one. Zeus is
Yeah.
easy. Odin. Zeus isn't one of them really, but I mean, in the story he is, but not one of the troll legends. Yeah.
For me, the challenge was taking a story, a regular short story, and sort of pulling out the elements that I felt necessary to tell the story in sort of a snapshot in a comic book. But I think down the road, the story may come out, down the road a while from now. It might actually be its own standalone book, because that little thought was put into my head this evening as I was meeting with my artist and her boyfriend.
I've been waiting for a chance to jump in and say, guys, this is your next breakout character from the anthology into the Hero Shack universe.
Mhm.
It's, an ongoing with this half troll girl and the magical abilities she's got. That's
Yep.
So
No.
I'm glad you guys
there's a
are
lot of
along the same
potential for
lines.
that. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of potential for things to spawn out of it. And the best part is that particular story, it's all in the family.
Yep.
Like it's my wife, my daughter, and my future son-in-law. I'm like, yay!
So
I
who
love
drew
it.
the who
That
drew
is
the mountain
actually
shoulder?
My
That's
daughter.
Krista's art. Yeah, and
That was a quick sketch. She goes, "Yeah, here, Mom. Here's this. It's not my best, but I'm like, no, you don't
So
understand."
look at this thing. He's got trees growing on his back.
I noticed
Yes,
the
it
rock
totally
that he's
blew my
standing on is
mind.
another troll. It's like very subliminal stuff. Like you got to look at it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
And I think Chris, that was just a sketch. You put a wash on that or something. didn't
yeah, that
you?
was a sketch. I put a wash in it because as just a white sketch, it didn't look quite right with all the other ones being colored. But her stuff is going to be fully colored by her, which is an even more phenomenal thing. Hopefully, we'll have that Wednesday. I believe that's what we're getting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, you guys watch. I know, because like it's one of those things where I know what's coming and I'm so excited. It's like when the firework goes up before it pops and you hear it.
And then it's black. Like, here
Oh.
it comes. Here it comes.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
laughing at the chat. Mike and Rick are putting.
I can't see it. I should take a peek.
Why did I pulled up the YouTube? But anyway, so I'm very excited. This is like my first, real exposure.
Well,
to
also because Rick mentioned it, remember now he's a brother in Christ. My son's doing a pinup, and one of my great convention friends, Jay Lipson, is doing a pinup, which is already here.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Really
actually,
cool.
I never get to do this, so let me do this.
That's because he's in his stuff. So yeah, so Jay Lipson did a pinup for us, sent it out, and Chris Matt is doing a cover, which you guys have already seen. Just the rough sketch is what we're using on the campaign right now, because we're waiting for the final cover to come so we can, to get it all colored and whatever. And he's working on it. I know he's a busy guy. He does a lot of conventions. So this is the Jay Lipson.
Yes.
His interpretation of a troll.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is very cool looking.
Now, to me, Jay Lipson is like just one of the best, coolest guys I've ever met.
He's awesome.
We spent 3 days with him on one side and Chris Matt on the other at a convention. And I think I learned more off of these 2 and 3 days than I learned in 3 years of making
That was
comics.
like our second Comic-Con. We hadn't gone to many.
Yeah.
And that's who we were smack dab in the middle of these two guys. And it was an amazing thing. It was a lot of fun.
It was like a seminar more than it was a convention. Because both of them knew each other and they're very good friends. So we were in the middle of them while they're chattering, and we're like, the radio go-betweens, and we ended up just bonding with both of them. It was just, and we've kept touch with them ever since. And one of the greatest things about this book is, except for Phil, I want to find a way to get Phil in the book, but everybody who was really important that weekend, like an iconic figure, is in this book. So my family's in this book, Rick's in this book, and like my 2 convention buddies are right there in the book. I'm like, Oh, this is big.
Are you guys making plans for conventions again now that
Yes.
they seem to be happening?
Oh yeah.
We will be at the, I think it's Concord, New Hampshire, the Kids Con. We'll be bringing Cyclopia into the Kids Con. We have Terrificon coming up. I think that is the end. We also have Plastic City Comic Con with Keith Gleason. He does that one.
Mighty Mascots, Alterna
Mighty
Comics.
Mascots
Yes.
from Alterna. We're
He
very
actually does
excited
his
about
own
that.
show in Pittsburgh, and that's one of them we're going to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Keith does his own show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
Plastic City Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plastic. Yeah, it's
I picked the
awesome.
right book.
Yeah.
I have a full page ad for
Yeah.
Nice.
Critical Blast Logistics in Mighty Mascots number 6.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I put another full page ad in the same book for comic books for kids. So I'm like,
Good for
I'm just,
you.
there's no story left in there. It's just all ads.
Yeah. No, but that's good. He's a good guy.
Yeah, Keith is. You guys have a t-shirt because of course you have a t-shirt press.
Yes.
we
So
do.
we're actually going to feature 3 T-shirts. I don't know if we're specifically going to offer that. Well, we will offer that because people can see it,
You can.
but there'll be like 4 selections at the time of the closing for
Yeah.
anybody who buys a shirt, and they can pick. It'll be one of my art, one of Chris, one from
of Chris,
Krista,
yeah.
and then another one. That
Yeah.
they can pick from.
Maybe be the Jay Lipton. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, I got to check with him and make sure he's cool with that, because one thing we're doing desperately is trying to make sure the artists get every right to everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the Chris Mad tier is a little pricey, but we're also reflecting, basically a fair price for original piece of art, and he gets all the proceeds except for the book price.
Right.
So everything's going to Chris if
And
you buy that.
This is just he was mortified when Chris is like, oh yeah, I'm using that. He's like, what? It's just like pencils, dude. It's not even done yet. I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah, I kind of blew both Chris Mad and Krista's mind because they sent sketches, and I immediately put color on top of them and threw them online.
Yes, here they are. But Chris Matt is doing a scene from Tina and the Three Trolls here. You barely see Tina down here in this little corner.
If I can be honest with you, Chris Mad's cover inspired Tina and the Three Trolls.
Yeah.
When I saw the cover, I said, what can I do to make this cover matter in the book? And the whole story wrote itself just looking at the book or looking at the cover. Now, that's a collage I put together, of course, from various pieces in the book, including Krista's art, my art, and Chris Mad's. I didn't have Rick's at that point, I don't believe. So I don't think the Bug-Eye Troll is in there, but he should be. I need to fix
the
that.
character over here, this would be Victor Violence then.
That's right. And if you look carefully, I'll tell you an insider secret for all the viewers and yourself. That was originally designed after Doug TeNapel because of all the trolling and all the trolls he's had to deal with.
I can see it.
Yeah, and one of the things about it all is we each can be trolls at any given time. Like, it's so easy to become a troll. If you get aggravated with something and start ragging on it and become like troll-like, it can happen to anybody. So when I think of Doug, I've seen him do some trollish things, but I've also seen him battle trolls. And I was like, that's my Victor Violence. So I wrote him and I let him know. And like, it's cool and everything, but like, yeah, that's my initial inspiration for Victor Violence.
So Victor's like 9 feet tall because
No, but he is about 6 feet tall. He does wear boots and a long trench coat, and
then he's much shorter than Doug TeNapel because
yeah, Doug is much taller. I was basically, the hair doesn't look much like his, but when I think of Doug in my head, that's how I see his hair. Even though he's far more stylized and whatnot, I see it as like a big mop on top that can be electrified and just doing crazy things. So that's what came out of my head.
Very cool. So the tiers on this, and there are a handful of them. We've already seen the physical copy, which is Ingrid's Choice.
Yeah.
$25 for 100 plus growing pages of artwork here. If you are a digital person, yes, the digital one is there. You can get that for $15. The Tina and the Three Trolls is there only one book? I mean,
yes.
Or there could be like multiple versions of the book?
It's one
We-
book, but we use different stories to name our tiers, basically.
Right. But what I think he's asking is we don't have plans to do a variant unless we hit the stretch goals and need to incorporate something else. We may very well use a variant cover. But I don't know, because variants, like then you have to give 2 books. I don't know what we're going to do, but basically we only want to use 1 book because the variant cover is kind of overblown in a cheap way to get more sales.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
all respect to the other creators who do it and the companies, more power to you. But for me, I just want to get the book in your hand, and I'm spending money on that awesome cover by Chris Mad. And that's the one I want to put in your hand, because that is
It's
going
gonna
to be a work of
phenomenal.
art. Yes.
I'll also say, from the distributor standpoint, the more covers you have, the more difficult it is to remember which one is which when you're
Yes.
fulfilling.
You're right. You're
Oh,
absolutely
the packages I have unpacked
right.
because I'm like, oh crap, wrong one.
Which one was it?
So as these go along, it's the same book with just some more stuff added onto them.
Yeah.
So you'll
Correct.
get the with Teen and the Three Trolls, you get both the digital and the physical. You get the exclusive print and the T-shirt. Now, we've seen a T-shirt. You said there might be a couple of different designs. So
Well, that
You'll
be able
T-shirt
to
will
get
definitely be one of their. Let's be honest. So I'll offer like 4 or 5 T-shirts, but if you write us and say, that art you use here or there of the troll, I want that. We can pretty
can
much
do
put any troll we've done on that shirt. So
you're in
we're
total
quite
control.
comfortable. Right.
So that Chris Mad cover is going to be a T-shirt, though.
Yes, for me and hopefully a lot of other people, because I think that one is just the hottest. I
Right.
can't wait to see it finished, because I know what an artist he is.
Now, the exclusive print. Have we seen the print? Down here?
No. So go down to the T-shirt that's there now.
Okay.
I was considering this as a print, and what I think I might actually do is run a poll on Twitter sometime this week or the week after, and maybe put up a few prints possibilities and make them the exclusive, Trolls Exposed print there. I want to make it something that people really like. So I'm not opposed to getting fan input on that, especially something as flexible as a print, because we can go right down to the print shop and get them printed. It's not,
Yeah.
It doesn't end my world if you pick one picture or another. It just so long as we pick one that's exclusive for the tier.
You got a village pack here. You save $5 if you get 3 of them. So that's kind of like a retailer tier.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we had in mind. And the tough part with this book is because it costs so much to make this one in terms of the creative. We're having a real hard time charging less than what we're charging. But we obviously we were able to do a little there. And the next one, I believe, is the same thing, right? It's a little bit more.
It's like a retailer or a
5
gift
books
or a
versus
gift.
3.
Yeah.
A store or a chain.
Yep.
Here.
You never know.
And then there's the Lorenzo tier. Now, this does not obligate our brother Lorenzo to buy, but we try to put this in every campaign we do, because he's one of the best people ever, but he'll start being like, well, what if I want to buy 2 of this and 2 of that and 2 of this? So Diana just started putting 2 of everything in one tier, and that's the
what
Lorenzo
add-ons
tier.
are for.
Yeah.
So you now come on, 2 digital copies. Come on.
It's the gimmick. It's the total gimmick,
you
right?
need one, I'm going to have 1,000 of them. Come on.
Yeah.
But it's the gimmick. It's got to have it because it's the Lorenzo tier.
But you get 2 copies, 2 prints, and 2 T-shirts. So go.
Yeah. And the final one, that's the Chris Mad original art with the book. And I don't know if she included anything else in that tier.
You get the digital, the physical, and the original cover art. So
Right.
you were going to get the pencils, these pencils right here.
Yeah.
What is that on blue board or?
Yeah. Well, a Bristol 1117.
Bristol 1117.
And it will be, inked and fully inked. I believe the colors are all digital, so that won't be colored, but it will be full black and white. So if you know art and you look on the thigh there's an X that actually represents a blackened area. But that's what you're going to see in the inks. It's going to pop a lot more because one of Chris's strengths is using light and shadows. And as an artist, it just gets me going. I love it.
So for $400, get an original Chris Mad cover art. You'll be the only one with it, obviously, because it's.
And this is going to be a relatively short run book, at least in its first run. So it's going to be quite rare. And I know that he just won an award on Indie Comic Creatives, I think it is, on Facebook, as Cover Artist of the Year.
Cover Artist of the Year.
And I can almost guarantee this guy is going big, big, big places.
Yeah.
I've been following him and rooting for him, and every year he just gets a little bigger and a little bigger.
So, yeah, these people who are coming up in the world, if you can get their original art. So, like, we just saw Colleen Duran posted on Twitter this week, and it was the result of an auction. I don't know if it was Heritage Auctions or what, but one of her pages from Sandman, where she did the Element Girl page with Death, sold for, I'm pulling a number out of the air, I'm going to say 15,000, but it was somewhere in that range. It might have even been 35,000. And she says, "Yeah, I remember when I sold this for $35."
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, because it was the 90s, It's like, okay, yeah, it's a page of this, Sandman comic I did. Here you go.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing Dan Jurgens back when Booster Gold was still in the first 5 issues, whenever that was. But he had come to a local comic shop, and I could have picked up all the pages I wanted for like $40 each, and I didn't pick up any. I did not pick up one. I was a cheap little kid. I wanted the book, and that was it. Why do I want a drawing? I got the book. I don't know.
No appreciation for what.
Not in that time. Nope.
I don't have any original art, but I do. I've got my Batgirl collection here, and I actually had one with a signature I could read. I was like, oh, I don't know who this Lozana character is here, but maybe they're on Twitter. And they were Lorenzo Lozana, and he's still doing stuff. And I was like, I should like that, but he's not on Twitter. He's just mentioned on Twitter a lot. So there's this picture and other stuff. I was like, so he's still out there and he's still sane because he doesn't have a Twitter account. Maybe he's got a Facebook account. He might still be a bit of a troll. Because that's I'm betting that's what the internet was invented for, was to infect people with troll through the mind hack. But I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing.
Well, the trolls, of themselves, they're not really capable of such feats. However, that doesn't mean they don't have allies and people that they can manipulate with favors, and you'll see there's a lot of things that trolls, they believe they're above the law because they're not human. And there's a lot of things they do that we would consider totally wow.
I'm not a citizen of this country.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of fun in the temp job where he discovers just how far that leeway can go.
Yeah. Oh, it reminds me of somebody at one time, this is true story, sued the devil for the bad crops, because you could sue anybody for anything. And he's like, I'm having bad crops. The weather's been bad. Nothing's been growing. It's the devil's fault. I'm going to sue him for reparations. And it like stymied the court system for a while, because it was like, what do we do? And finally, the judge decided that the defendant was not a legal resident of the state of Pennsylvania, and threw it out.
Whoops.
So
beautiful.
But I just imagine the same thing with the trolls. Like, I don't live here. I went to Walmart the other day, and it was I live in Arkansas, so guess what? We have dry counties and dry towns rather still, where you can't buy beer on Sundays. So they're like, had this table at the counters, like, hey, make it so we can buy beer on Sundays in Rogers. I'm like, I'd sign, but I'm not a legal resident of the town, so my signature would be thrown out.
Exactly.
But please make it happen, because Sunday's the only day I'm in town.
Yeah, Florida had something weird like that when I was down there, and it was just strange because like they would sell alcohol up to 2 a.m. Sunday, but not at 10 a.m. And yeah, it was weird. And I think they finally abolished it. I don't know. I've never drank alcohol. Well, I do drink it on occasion, but I've never been a drinker. So it's like it's never impacted me, but I know a lot of people get really feisty on, like especially during Sunday football games. If they're in a dry area, they have to go get that alcohol way far away or get
beer run.
Yeah, beer run.
I have one like every other night, I guess. But what was I thinking here? Now I can't remember. But yeah, that's why that's why daylight savings time happens at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
rather than at midnight,
Isn't
because
that
they
funny?
didn't want to allow the bars to be open an extra hour on any night. So they wait for the bars to close, and then the time changes. It's actually 1:01. So it's like the bar had to have been closed. It can't be like, we're closing, we're open another hour now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. People are crazy.
That's a mad world for you.
It is a mad
Yes.
world.
Yes, we're writing our laws around the fact that we don't want people. What are we, like gremlins or something? Don't drink after 2 a.m.
Yeah, you might just turn, right.
You might just
was
turn into
even
a
that
troll.
way, in Orlando, at least 20 years ago, when I was big in the night scene, 2:00, they'd have bars open till 4, but they'd stop selling at 2.
Mm-hmm.
You'd only get soda and water after 2. It was weird.
Yeah. Well, it's because the government is in cahoots with the trolls, and there's a section of the government that knows that if
There
you
you
drink after
go.
2 a.m., you're going to turn into a troll, and we're trying to keep the population from making too much of a massive shift. So
Nicely done.
You want a story?
Yeah, I was just thinking that might work into the next anthology. Yeah, because I have to be careful. I could make stories right up until the day we have to send it to
I
press.
told him no more stories. He's not allowed. Sorry.
You got to cut it off. You got to have that time to edit.
Yeah. Thank you. It's like, it's 2 hours before we go. Like, no, you're done. You have like 10 stories in the book. Let my one little story and Rick's little story of his Ogra, defeating the trolls or something like that, or fighting the trolls, or
Yeah, fighting the trolls.
Fighting the trolls on the bridge.
So trolls have natural enemies. That's good to know.
Yes.
Well, and the amazing thing is, after all these years, they still have vulnerabilities because they still do stupid things. Like, of course, at some point, Victor Violence has to find the source of the mind hack software and whatnot. And he only finds them because the troll is kind of stupid. It still makes mistakes.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so wow, we hit the hour mark already, but
I know. I was looking at it going, he's got to cut us off soon, because last night we kept you on for another hour after you needed to go.
Yeah, but I don't need to go tonight. I just, it's like I try to keep people for no more than an hour. Let them go early if they need to. And I think, if we talked anymore, you would just basically give away the entire stories.
Yes, he would. Thank you. That was.
But if I can,
for Diana's sake here, for Chris's sake, with Diana around, we will stop talking about the stories.
Yeah.
And just tell people the link to the Indiegogo is pinned at the top of the chat.
Yep.
It is below in the description. Very first thing. Go hit this one up. Check it out for $25 for 100 pages of 10 stories. I challenge you to find any better deal than that in crowdfunded comics right now. So go hit that one up. Go throw money at it. It's $25. You're going to spend that on a perfect bound 48-page comic book, and you're not going to get nearly as much reading time out of it. So,
and that's another thing. This is layered. We're hoping that people will go back and read this over and over and find little nuggets that have been sprinkled.
Troll nuggets.
Yeah, and I can't really reveal them, because if you start talking about them, then it's a little obvious.
I don't.
It's like the elf on the shelf. If you don't know he's there, he could be there all year, and then you suddenly see him,
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to have, the fun we would have. There is no more of an adrenaline rush than getting elbowed at 2:30 in the morning. Did you move the troll? Did you move the elf? And it's like, sometimes it's like you don't remember it till like 6 a.m. when you're downstairs and you hear
around
wherever he lands.
Yep.
What's he doing in the sink? I don't know.
Turn the sink on all day now.
Yeah. That is so funny.
This has been fantastic.
It has been. It's been a lot of fun. I always enjoy having you guys on the stream. We got to have it. You're not here nearly enough. And I wish I could get out to the East Coast to hit some conventions with you guys, just to walk by your table and say, "Hey, it's me."
That would be so
We'd have to have
fun.
you sit down and send Diana on a lunch break.
It wouldn't be
I'm
no
only
lunch
kidding,
break.
honey.
We would just sit there and talk the whole time until the con closed, and then we'd go out for dinner somewhere.
There you go.
No, then Chris wouldn't sell anything because he'd be No, you guys don't want a lunch break, and I'll man the table because I sell books.
She actually sells very well at conventions. Yes.
It's funny how that works. You know, family sells better than the actual creator.
Yeah.
I went to a convention. My son was, I want to say 12, maybe 11 at the time. And the night before the convention, he knew he was going with me. He's got ruled paper, okay, and he's drawing Mario and he's drawing Princess Peach and he's drawing over and over. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna have artwork to sell." I'm like, okay, how much? $10 a piece. I'm like, maybe you try $1 a piece. You're a new artist. They don't know who you are. He made more money than I did.
Yeah. I've actually seen that in conventions. Yes, where the kid is sketching on the side.
We do. We
They've got a
love
little
it.
side hustle going, and mom and dad are trying to sell bigger things, and
Yeah.
that kid's staying busy.
People will throw a bucket of drawing.
yeah.
You never know. This kid might be drawn for Image Comics 20 years from now.
Right.
Especially when the kid's cute and get the little puppy dog
And
eye.
if
Oh
they have
yeah.
any talent, I don't care if it's on line paper or not. You can look at that and say, you know, he's got something there.
Oh yeah. Not only was he selling to the people coming up, he sold one to the young lady who had the booth next to us, and he was making time with her. I was like, you know, play is on a roll.
That is so funny. That's awesome.
All right, guys, thank you so much for bringing Trolls Exposed onto the channel tonight. Do
Thank you for
appreciate
having
guys
us.
being here. How many days we got left? This thing's almost. Oh,
I want to say 40.
Oh, it's a 60-day campaign, May 21st.
Okay.
Because we're not doing the 30-day bump. I don't think we could with a flexible anyways.
I don't know if we could, but I said, let's just do 60. It gives us time. It's a big book.
Yeah.
We
You just get that long plateau.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm hoping to use when Chris delivers the finished cover. I want to use that for like a mid-campaign launch, you know?
As a guest. When his
What's
cover
that?
is done,
Yeah,
we'll set
yeah.
that up. And when we did
Fire
the
the
launch
boosters.
party, he wasn't available. He came on late and whatever. But when his cover is done, I plan on doing a little bit of a
Rah-rah.
Yeah.
Well,
rah-rah.
here's what I'm surprised that Indiegogo is actually letting you do programmatically. I mean, the code checks is that you got 41 days left on here. It is April 11th. Hey Siri, what's the date 41 days from now? Wow, I learned something. Siri doesn't listen when my YouTube is running.
She listened here. It's May 22nd. You got my Siri to activate.
Cool.
I thought I heard that. I'm like,
You asked and my Siri answered.
I used to have people next to me at work would call the lady in HR. Her name was Sherry. And the guy would say, "Hey, Sherry." And my phone would go, bloop, yes.
Yeah.
So May 22nd, the campaign's over. It's a May shipping date. I'm surprised that Indiegogo didn't say, "Hey, you're gonna
Actually,
ship the
I noticed that too. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but all it really means to me is we got to get it out in May, which is we have a week for that.
we will.
God forbid you ship it out in June. Late books.
Well, and we might, but in that case, I'd be happy to just say, well, this is what it was. But I can promise this book will be no later than a couple of weeks late, if it's late at all. We could have a whole nother conversation about the books.
Oh my God.
I'm coughing on it.
We are doing very well as far as the progress of the book. Chris is continually working on, getting the art ready, basically coloring it. The stories are all written. My story all the stories are written. I believe Rick's story is written as well. And I know that
I think Rick's is almost done.
Yeah.
If not done.
So, I mean, as far as, we're still looking at like 40 days of running the campaign. And I think for Christopher specifically, it's really hard when he sees the lag. Like nobody has backed the book. I'm like, I still have, I think 10 people left that signed up for the pre-launch that are some of our regular purchasers that haven't backed the book yet. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, they know it's a 40-day campaign. They're looking at their budget. You know, we can't assume.
Yeah, she's very logical about it. The
I
thing
don't
with
panic.
me,
I don't panic at all. We're
well,
already
in
like,
all honesty, though, the thing with me is
there.
I go through the roller coasters because I'm not making
You
an
know.
excuse, but I have
You
a
know.
condition called autism, which sometimes makes me very high
Makes
and
me
sometimes
crazy.
very low. It's not like bipolarism. It's not quite as extreme, but I do have waves of energy. And I think you can testify, RJ. You've probably seen some of my sometimes and some of my
Sometimes.
you know, it's
Just think of it in terms of math. It's a
just
graph, and it always spikes, levels, spikes. So,
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And I'm the wife, and I see it all. But yes.
well,
so
she gets the
anyway,
worst of it because you're always more comfortable with the one you love.
I appreciate you having us on. This has been so fun. It's always so much fun being on your show. I absolutely love it. So thank you again.
Well, thank you for coming. And yeah, this is you guys have a great reputation as far as what you produce and when you deliver. So any teasing on my part about late books is
I love it actually. The humor of it, because we both know the full, the full
we both know.
The full picture is like, yes, we all know late books.
I was actually trying to look up some late books today as a part of a discussion, let's say, we were having, and I was like, wow, these examples that I was going to pull off, I was thinking surely by now they've delivered, and this is like old hat argument, but no. These two books are now 7 and 8 years late, and they're still getting comments on there about like within the last month. Where's my book? Is this ever going to deliver?
And those are
Did
really
you say 7 or 8 years? 7 or 8 years?
Yes.
There's some really bad ones out there.
Are
Diana.
these like novels and stuff like that have like 3,000 pages? Like
no, one is a collection of erotic horror prints. So it's not like even a story. It's just like a collection of so many drawings, and it's late. And the other one was like it was being optioned at one time for television of some sort.
I would think that the models are like older now and stuff. I mean, erotic prints. I mean, who are they looking for? I mean, that's just so weird.
I don't know. The one was the other was a graphic novel. The older one's a graphic novel. It was something called Great Big Hawaiian Dick. It was a Hawaii Five-0 thing, like detective thing.
Yep, I got it right away.
Yeah. But and I think it was being optioned for some live action thing, and
gone in the wind, right?
Gone in the wind. It's just hanging out there, and people wanting their money or wanting their book. Anyhow.
Yeah, I've never understood that. When I accept a pledge, it's like, okay, now I'm blood libel.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like our name is on the line. Like I unless I died, or worse off, if Chris died, then it would be delayed because I wouldn't know. I'd have to get somebody to come in and help me finish what he does. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I edit all the work. You know that, right? I can read and I can edit. I can't.
Well, neither one of you can die because if he dies, you're going to have to get someone to come in and finish the work. And if you die, it's going to be 3,000 pages and still $25.
God.
So,
yes.
And it won't be out for another 6 months.
It'll have so many spelling errors. I'm like, you can't.
Well, that's true too. If she's not editing, I'm screwed. Yeah, if she's not editing, I'm done.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to let you guys go.
Yeah, because we'll just keep talking. You need to run.
Come back before this thing's over. You got 40 days for crying out loud.
Yeah, we will definitely make sure we do run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show. Don't have a show without you, right?
Amen.
So we're glad that you're here. Always appreciate you being here. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.